We back at it again. Set some things up and change something, but basically, like I was just saying earlier, like you got a lot of good men out here that missed the boat. You know about having kids. One of my partners now, I think, dude about 50. Uh, Good guy. You know, stern, just like me. Let kids. Hey, kids don't play. Hey, dude is like a spitting image of me when it comes to productive peace, doing things for his life. And I explained to him, me and him were having a conversation. I was like, man, if I didn't have kids, I would have been on the same path as you, getting my money, paying attention to things that I need done, and having it accomplished the way I want to, no remorse, no regrets. And, just talking to him, it's funny how this how my life would have been if I would have never had kids. But real cool guy. Um, got a lot of his stuff together, and the thing is, you know, just couldn't find that woman. And you could say some of it might be onto him. And that's always, it's never 100% the woman's fault, and it's never 100% the man's fault. But when it came down to it, he had his standards and he just didn't want to part with his standards, and I talked to him about that. What's going on, Wanda? Uh, I'm gonna get back into the financial side that I talk about all the time, but it's just been more or less been kind of moving me to try to talk to people from a standpoint of this. Like I said, I don't like doing a relationship or gender topics because the message get lost. A lot of people who don't have an open mind, what's going on, lashes, OCDs, OCDs, this chick. But this the thing, like this conversation always gets diluted because the whole fact of the matter is a lot of people tend to want to get more in their feelings than to listen with logic, when it comes to this conversation. Because I mean it hits home. You gotta understand with most men and women, when you have these conversations about relationships, or you have these conversations about behavior between men and women, you know, sometimes you have people who talk about this is only coming from one side. You know, they only come in the strong points that benefit the women or the strong points that benefit the men. I'm biased I mean, really to both. Like both of us mess up, both of us do wrong. If I hold the women accountable, I'm gonna hold the men accountable because for a lack of understanding, we all have issues, men and women, but a lot of us don't want to bring it to the table and have these discussions. But better, like I said, my friend, real cool guy, got the short end of the stick when it came to getting married and having a relationship due to the fact that he has standards. And sometimes your standards will get the best of you to the point where you have to sit there, take that ride by yourself. I mean, it is what it is. Same thing with women as well, because when it comes down to it, it's a lot of issues within our community, within our families that we just can't get past. And especially speaking on what I'm talking about now for Father's Day, I get it where a lot of guys have these talks and be mad about not being appreciated. A lot of times, I don't know how to say this real. I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't care. Like life still goes on. I know what type of man I am. I know how I need to live my life. Life still goes on. I'm not gonna sit here and cry because I didn't get anything for Father's Day or my kids. Like God's been moving like this for years. The standard of men and the elevation in which the feelings, a lot of guys are getting real emotional about I mean, I understand it's not a point of me referencing that men shouldn't have feelings, but you should have a balance of your feelings. you know the standard is, I hear so many guys complaining, well, I, 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 I want my wife to take me out to pay for this, or I always got to pay. Well, what did you ever ask? Maybe you need to ask. You know, a lot of times old people always say this: a closed mouth will never get fed. My wife has taken me out, paid. You know, my wife has. We went to the store. She pulled out her card a couple of times and bought me a whole. Because when I go buy clothes, every now and then I might buy one or two pieces, but I'll just go buy a wardrobe. I'll buy about 10, 12 shirts. I buy about three, four different pair of pants, some shorts, two pair of shoes or something like that. I'm buying it just like that day. When I go shopping, that's what I'm literally going to do, shop. Like I want to be able to buy all this stuff now, and then I might window shop later. If I see a good deal, I get it. But other than that, when I go buy, that's what I do. When I went for my kids the other day, um, just buying shorts alone, I think I spent $120 or 180 or something like that. I went to Ross, so they was cheap. But just buying shorts alone, cause like I tell my wife, I was like, most of the time, Nate, with men, women only look at what your shirt look like and what your shoes look like. You know, the pants is nobody notices unless you have some pants that stick out, designer pants. That's the only way. Other than that, long as you have nice shoes, this T was going on. As long as you literally have nice shoes and you have a shirt, I mean that represents, the man, his image. Because just like men are more visual, we look at women. The first thing we see is you, and a lot of men don't go past that viewpoint of what they see. So from them not going past the viewpoint of what they see, Tamika, what's going on, Frugal Mama, after the man goes past the viewpoint of what they see, they should be examining like, okay, this woman, she has a mindset of this, she loves to do this, she loves to do that, and go and so forth. So that man knows how to deal in his relationship because he sits there and take the time. Like, with me, when I married my wife, there were little things that I picked up on that I knew she liked. So I took advantage. Like I knew she liked seafood. I like seafood. She was on the island. So I always knew when I went somewhere, I would go somewhere to where they have a lot of seafood. And I know that's what she like, and that's gonna benefit me and benefit her. That was cool, you know. Same applied to her clothes. Like my wife always wore casual outfits. And I went to buy some jewelry and stuff like that for her because I seen like a nice I think it was like a topaz ring, uh, and I got some no I say topaz turquoise color ring, and then I seen some shoes to match, and I bought the shoes, bought the ring, and stuff like that. Just noticing those little things help, within the relationship. But when it came back down to me, my wife can't shop for me like that. You know, did I get mad about that? No, it is what it is because I like different stuff. Like the plain casual stuff, yeah, I mean, it's sometimes I'm rocking with it, but I'm different. Like I draw, so I like different designs. I'm not gonna have an issue with my wife not being able to be on my level like I am to her. I pay attention to details and things, you know, and that's the whole point. Like I'm not gonna get mad because I can't get everything I want. It's just the standard that it is what it is. That's why I be trying to figure out with a lot of guys, complaining and talking about women. This I understand, dude. That woman might can't appeal to certain things that you like, but at the same time, keep it moving. I mean, as I don't I'm trying to be nice about this because I ain't trying to go too hard on most of the men and I ain't trying to go too hard on the women, but it is what it is. Wanda, I was over there in your chat. I was laughing. Uh this what I was gonna say, Wanda, when I was over there one time. So my wife, like, she goes and say, well, we gonna go buy you Father's Day gift. She take my twin boys, take them to the store. Now I didn't go to church that Sunday with them. I don't know, I was tired or something. So I woke up and she was like, "You going to church?" I said, "Nah." So I'm chilling on the edge of the bed. I'm like, man, I'm about to get up in a minute. I'm about to lay back down. And so I laid back down. They came home. That's when I got up, started trying to get me something to eat. And I think something came on TV and like it's Father's Day. And my wife was like, "Oh, today's Father's Day? Oh man." Hey, Miss Patty. So next thing you know, she's like, "Oh, we gonna go get you something. We forgot." The whole 2 days before, they was like, "Oh, we gonna get you something for Father's Day." They totally forgot about Father's Day. But the crazy part about it was, um, oh man, this is so bad. I know it's Miss V. What is I don't had a brain freeze of her name. She sent me a gift card too. Oh man, this is so bad. She on YouTube. I can't think of her name now. Go P. But uh, I'm having a brain freeze. But basically, her name it comes back to me. Harris family in the building. Who's on the microphone? Is it he say or she say? What's going on? What is going on? But y'all check out the channel. Y'all check out the Harris Tribe channel. Great channel, great channel, great channel, great channel. But the crazy part was they sit up there, noticed it was Father's Day. My wife said, "Okay, well, we're gonna go get you a gift." Let me go ahead and break this up. But basically, when it came down to it, Vivian, I think that's her name, Vivian. But I remember in a minute. But anyway, she sent me a Father's Day because she had a Father's Day raffle and she fooled around and my name popped up. So I got a gift card. She sent me a Lowe's gift card. And my wife was like, when she seen the gift card, she was like, "What'd you get the gift card for? Who's that from?" I was like, "Somebody on YouTube sent it to me for Father's Day." And I think it was like a day or two before Father's Day came that I got it. So she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you some too." Father's Day came. They forgot. Then my wife goes to the store to go get me some for Father's Day. And guess what happened? Oh, that's Nikki. So when it came down to it, they went to go get me some for Father's Day. They came back with nothing. They bought each other something. I'm talking about it's crazy. Oh, she's still asleep. But yeah, so they came back. They didn't have nothing for me. All they had was my son bought a toy, my other son bought a shirt, my wife bought two shirts, and I'm sitting there watching TV and I'm like, okay, y'all got pretzels and stuff, man. Y'all bought out, y'all did it up. Yeah, my son, they laughing. They like, yeah, daddy, we had fun. We went to the mall. We got some pretzels. We went to TJ Maxx and this and that. I'm like, oh, okay. And the crazy part about it was I'm looking at them doing all this and I'm like, where my Father's Day gift at? And every one of them just looked at each other like, we forgot the father. We knew it was something we were supposed to get. I was dying laughing. I was like, if Kevin was around that time, I think it was like about 4 or 5 years ago that happened. But if Kevin was around the time, I would have been dying laughing. Like Kevin said, you can't make this issue up, you know. And so it was crazy how just laughing at that situation, how all that took place like that. How we fooled around, got to talking about it, and they left and still didn't get the gift. So my wife, she was like, it's in the car. Just yeah, I got you. It's in the car. They go and my wife goes to I think Walmart that's up the street and went and got me $100 Lowe's card. And I was laughing because I remember my friend mom ended up giving me a Father's Day card too. I forgot to open that up, and that was $100 Home Depot card. So I had two Home Depot cards and all that, and I was like, dang, that's crazy, to the degree. I'm like, I literally got the Home Depot card, the Lowe's card, but it was funny though. It was just crazy how I got these cards, and she was like, "You gonna spend your card?" And she would just pressure me to spend the card. Or she's like, "Did you say you wanted that vacuum? That the vacuum that you wanted? You just want that vacuum? You gonna buy the vacuum now?" I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want that." Well, you better spend that card because I bought it. Like there was no urgency about it because I'm like, you wasn't good. You didn't remember anyway. But like when Mother's Day come, oh, I'm all for it. Like this year Mother's Day, I didn't really have to do anything. The previous year I bought out, but I didn't have to do so much as well. And that was my introduction to being a family cook because I made some crab and shrimp salad. What's going on, conscious? But hey man, when you gonna start back going live, man? I want to come over there to your channel, man. I like the spills that you have over there. It's away from all the hoopla and the back and forth. With the mail this, the mail that, man. Conscious, man. Come on now, you got it. Yeah. I know you on the pace now where you're moving around, but brother, you gotta have some time for the people, man. Yeah, hey, do me some shorts or something, man. Throw them out there. Come on now, give me some short videos or something. I like good content, man. Come on, your channel has good content. I like it. Just like the Harris tribe. Good content, man. But yeah, it's crazy though because when it came down to it, just say the least, I went all out for Mother's Day. I'm always going out for their birthday. Like my sons, anytime like this year they got in trouble, so they ain't do nothing for their birthday too much. They got trouble bad. But like I say, for Mother's Day this year, the family came from Connecticut, Texas, and they had a paint and sip at my wife's aunt house, and they did painted the Mother's Day T-shirts, and um, we end up the men were giving them cheese crackers and wine and all that stuff. So the main course got done, and we was filling their glasses up with wine. And then the year before that, all the men came together and we cooked for the women. And I made my crab pasta salad, crab and shrimp pasta salad. So now I'm the designated crab shrimp pasta salad organizer for every family function on my wife's side. I gotta bring that dish. I could bring other dishes, but they want that dish because it tastes so good. I'm like, man, I told my wife, I said, I should have never cooked for y'all because I'm like, I'm not, like, my expertise goes beyond this pasta salad, but it's like once somebody know you know how to cook, like my wife, when she found out I know how to cook, she trying to take advantage of it. She be over here trying to have me cooking all the time. Yeah, man. Hey, I put some paprika in there, and now I'm on this smoked paprika. Man, that hit different. It hit different with the smoked paprika. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. But I always tell this to people. It's funny because the first dish I ever cooked for my wife was some jambalaya, and I take the Manhattan red beans and rice and the yellow rice, and I used to mix it together in a pot. Then I will cook my ground beef down, cook sausage, cook shrimp, um, chop all that stuff up together and put it in the pot. Boil it down, season it up, all that flavor in there. So by the time the water boiled out, you have all that, seasoned and marinated all together. Typically, I go by the recipe, then I add another extra cup and a half or whatever, just to get that water in there, more water, because I'm putting more meat in there to have that flavor going into the meat. And my wife, she ate that. The first thing she said was, "Where you buy this from? This good." I said, "I ain't buy it nowhere. I cooked it." And the kids were like, "Yeah, he cooked it, mommy. We seen him. He went in there. He did this. And, yeah, we seen him." And the first thing she go to the trash can. She look in the oven, and I'm laughing because this. I always say this to guys in the space. I be like, when guys always say, "Man, I need a woman that cook and clean," I'm like, "Don't you know how to cook and clean?" "Man, I'm horrible at cooking." I'm like, "So how you been living all these years out of the house without your parents, like without your mama cooking for you? Like, I know you ain't McDonald's it up all the time. Like, dude, you got to be able to know how to cook." And so that was crazy to when she was like, "I'm a like I'm a it's a miracle I know how to cook." I was crying laughing, but that's just what it is. Like I learned from my great grandma. She always told me. She said, if you get with a woman that knows how to cook or not, she said you still got to provide for yourself. So all the young men in the family, we all learn how to cook from the women in the family, especially my great grandma. And that was the thing, you know, like moving around, me being a man, a lot of stuff I learned from women and a lot of stuff I learned from me. Especially even with dating talks. A lot of women would tell me, they'd be like, "Well, we play men like this. You're a good man, she don't get played like this." That was my whole biggest thing. I mean, that's the thing. When it comes down to it, a lot of guys they that palate is different. My partner used to always say, when that stomach touch that back, you gonna know what time it is. And me being the dad, that was always my thing, that I want to be able to take care of my kids. Whether I gotta cook all the food or whether my wife cook all the food. I mean, I don't know. The gender roles and stuff now is kind of crazy. People get offended and get soft about that. I mean, it is what it is. We in an environment now to where we all are, working with each other, taking care of one another. It's not like every night I cook, but majority of the nights, like last night, I cooked salmon, green beans. Um, I didn't feel like cooking anything else, so I just had some potato salad. We had. I just told the boys to eat the potato salad. But that's the thing. Like even with the household chores, I clean the house. You know, it's not a big thing. Like I tell my wife, if I didn't meet you, I would have had to do these things regardless. It comes into play when I'm tired most of the time. I don't do a lot of work, but majority of the time I help around the house, and I get on my boys like that. I tell them because they be like, "Daddy, we got to do all these chores." I be like, when it come down to it, what do you think I had you got? What do you think we got you guys for? We made you guys just to do the chores around the house. And they get up there and they be like, "Well, I don't know." I'm like, "Look, me and your mama was cleaning this house before y'all, and we can stay cleaning this house after y'all leave. But the point of it is, these are y'all. This is y'all job." Like, Big Rooster yesterday on Miss T channel, we was talking about that when I was Miss T didn't like the way I told her I cut my kids' internet off. I told her like I'm harsh, man. Like, hey, you do something bad, I'm cutting you off on the world. Like, I took my son, took his phone, cut off the internet, cut off the internet on the TV, cut off the internet on the Googles, because I got so many electronics around there. Like a lot, my thermostat is on the internet, so it's hooked up to where I can control it from my phone. I don't really truly need the internet because it's connected to my device, but I really don't need it. But I can use it to control like my doorbell, my cameras in my house. Um, I got I got lights. I got outlets that are controlled by the Wi-Fi. I got so many things, but I can also control it to where I can cut it on and off. Like I can cut off certain lights because they're plugged in. I can cut off certain light bulbs. That's Wi-Fi. So a lot of this stuff is, age of technology. And so, like I tell my kids, I cut off all the access to every. I have them in the dark ages. Yesterday, I came home. They was just like little puppies moping around. I'm like, hey, bro, y'all ain't even do your chores yet. How y'all expect to get on the internet and do this and that, but you ain't did your chores? As soon as I say that, they jump up. They get to doing their chores. Can we get back on now? Can we get back on now? I'm like, ah, all right, man. But that's the thing. Like, as a father, you gotta be tough, disciplinary. You gotta sit here, just lay down the law like that. A lot of kids don't like it, but it is what it is, you know. Sometimes it gets to a point where I have to be the hard person, because I tell my wife sometimes, I say, you don't see it unless I tell you, but sometimes you kind of show favoritism towards the kids. I cut them down the middle. My wife's like, well, you get on this one more harder than the other one because I see what they're doing. I try to nip their actions in the butt about this. And the way that they're moving, it's going to be a bad path for them. You know, I said that about my older kids, and a lot of stuff I talked about came to fruition. Even like with my son, I always stayed on top of my son because he's real passive about things. And I told him, get the job done, get stuff done. So as he started growing, he started understanding and moving the way I was telling him about getting stuff done. Now, I'm kind of upset about him not finishing school with one more year, but he has a good job and he's, doing pretty good for himself. But, you know, I told him, get to the next level, dude. You know, he has a lot of fun and, in moderation because he's a responsible young man. And with him being 22, well, no, Josh is 23 now. I think Josh is 23. I think he's 23 and his sister's 25. Yeah. Oh, time is passing, man. But for the most part, like it's tough being a father, being a disciplinarian, making those rules and decisions like that because sometimes like the mother, she just want to push it off on the pops, because you don't want to look like the bad guy, but somebody got to be the bad guy in the situation. And if I got to be the bad guy, I just got to be the bad guy. It is what it is. No, no pun intended though. Yeah, but I mean, in most cases, man, trying to run in here and get me some money. I gotta pay somebody something. But I mean, it just is what it is, man. It's crazy that when you start talking about fathers, oh, excuse me, yeah, excuse me, yeah. But when you start talking about fathers, in most cases, a lot of times, we have these conversations. We can talk about the bad dudes all day, but what about the good dudes? You know, what about the good dudes? I see you, Miss T. And that always be the bulk of the conversation when we end up having these talks and having everybody come around. Should I have? Yeah, I got at 20. But that'll always be the bulk of the conversation every time we talking and everything. It'll always be what these bad dudes are doing. Uh-oh. Oh, that's another Miss T in the building. What's going on, Miss T? Wanda. But okay, got that money straight. But yeah, like I said, when it come down to it, we always all day. Yep. We focus on all these bad, but then like, are we really focusing on the good? That'd be my biggest issue with a lot of this stuff, man. Because hey, I know we got a whole bunch of dudes that so-called ain't amounting, and a whole bunch of dudes that don't really, do the right thing. But when are we gonna start mainly focusing on the good dudes, the good fathers? A lot of times on the internet, like right now, though, the manosphere, you have a lot of these guys over here, and I ain't even gonna run down on them, but just saying that when it come down to it, they don't want to speak on the bad that a lot of these guys are doing or moving around in the space, but then you want to kind of shun the guys that are kind of pointing it out. I mean, right is right, wrong is wrong. us being good men, us being good fathers, you have to point out the flaws, point out the situations to shine a light on it. Even in cases with the women, we do the same thing. So why not do it for men? Like I've had conversations where I told guys, "Hey man, that's wrong. You shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that." You know, you you're gonna get the short end of the stick because, like I said, as a father, if you're doing something regular, like me, man, I used to always take my kids everywhere, do stuff with them, and people looking at me like, "Oh man, you always with your kids? Yeah, man, that's so good." To me, that's regular. Like I've been around my uncles, especially my uncle Tyrone. Man, I love my uncle Tyrone. I had to bury him. He passed. You know, I had the honor, over his will to have stuff done and over his life insurance. He put me over his life insurance. He said, I need you to bury me and do it this way. If all else fails, cremate me, and just keep the money because I don't want to have all this fighting with the family, this and that. So I told all my cousins, and when it came down to it, I was like, hey, it's getting to this point. He told me if we can't negotiate this and that on the terms of his funeral, to put him in cremate him. So what y'all want to do? I'm talking about that guy, 100, no kids. He always said that he should have had kids, but he was just too busy living life. He was having fun, and then time got the best of him. He always talked about how time got the best of him, to where if all the stuff that he learned from his mother and father being productive and went on and had kids early, life would have been a whole lot better for him. But he played around too much. That was his biggest regret, is not having kids. Because like I said, he'd have been an excellent father. He literally raised my older brother because my mom and him was close to the same age. They was probably about a couple of years apart because his older sister, which is my grandma, my mother was the firstborn, so she wasn't that far off from my last uncle that was born from my granny. And he took my brother everywhere. Like my brother was his child. Like, dude, I mean, tell him Stuart what's going on. Bunny Rose, what's going on? How you doing? But it's like my uncle, he paved the way. Like he showed me what a good, spite of all the other stuff he did with the drugs I seen, he showed me how a good man moved. You know, my coaches, they showed me how men move, and they showed me the responsibility on being a man. You know, my cousin, me and my cousin, we was back and forth when I was young because when you're a child, you don't know. You see somebody doing something and you just like, man, I can't deal with this. I don't want to be like this. I don't like this person because they discipline me so much. It's like, man, I'm getting disciplined so much about this. Man, I don't like this. I don't want. As I got older, me and my cousin, we like brothers now. We like best friends. All the stuff that he did when I was young, I look back on it. I said, man, these were teachable moments. Like my grandmother, you know, dealing with my grandmother when I was young, I had a mature mindset. So there was a lot of things that I took to heart that she did, a lot of things that, we both didn't agree on. But once again, there were teachable moments that put me in the mind frame of me being older, having kids, having that understanding why she did some things, and some things, just the balance of things, and it is what it is. But the whole point, the men that were in my life, even all the way down to my granddad, like he did a lot of awesome stuff, like just crazy. Like my granddad had his own company; he was a welder, so he taught me how to weld. He taught me the basics. I didn't fully all the way to finish the training, but he taught me the basics. My older brother, to this day, even though we have our conflicts and everything, my older brother, I seen his lifestyle. He took a turn, and that was the thing. I always say this: you can learn from everybody. My brother, he was in the gang life. I knew not to take that path because I seen the outcome. I knew somebody on drugs, same thing applied to them. I'd seen the path that they were taking. I knew not to take that path because I seen the outcome. You know, I seen all these good guys married long time. I had other uncles and stuff like that. They were married for years. One of my uncles, he died married to his wife. You know, had 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. Died married to his wife. Took care of her. I mean, it comes a time to where a lot of times, like with men, you have more hype about the bad men and the bad fathers that's not paying child support compared to the good dads that's still around. It's so much light shine on the bad. It's not enough light shine on the good. You know, even with Father's Day, it's another day. Then it's getting drowned by what is it, Juneteenth, to the point where Father's Day is almost not even gonna exist. You know, seeing that you have these good men that are out here, trying to do right, trying to stay the course. It's easy to do bad. I could just run out, go cheat on my wife. She probably won't know, and if she do catch me, then I get a divorce. It's easier to do the bad versus doing the good, you know. And I commend a lot of the good men that are out here doing the right thing, taking care of their kids. Even the ones that don't have kids, just taking care of households. Because with my uncle, he didn't have kids. This guy still came around us, provided for us, even into my older days with me having my family. You know, he always, kind of talked to me about my boys, how smart they were getting, and just being around them. And he was like, "Man, I'm glad I can experience this." And it was like a good thing, because all in all, man, like I just feel good as a father, man. Even though like I get the recognition now, but to a degree, sometime when I don't get that, that push on that dad, me going too hard or being too hard on my kids, that's just life. It comes with the territory. I told my wife, if my kids don't like me when they get older, I don't care. As long as I provide you with some type of moral compass that you can relate to with life, then that's what it is. Like society is rough. I have to be rough on you. You know, this whole good cop, bad cop thing, man, it's gonna be crazy. You know, if the mother's the good cop, the dad gotta be the bad cop, and vice versa. Cause you know, it's funny that I'm saying this like with the movie with Scarface, say hello to the bad guy, because that's the thing. It's not rewarding always having to discipline your kids and you know put them to a point of punishment or whooping and stuff like that. But the whole point of it is, as a father, I have to show them some type of direction. Even with my daughter, I stayed on top of my daughter all the time, trying to constantly get on her about hanging out, dealing with boys, because that's the thing. You know, when girls are growing, they need that image, that sight from their father to understand and you know look in the direction where they're going, because that's the biggest thing. Like I always talk about society raising kids, and that's like one of our biggest issue right now. The society raising kids. You have all these kids out here being raised by their friends. You could be the best parent in the world, awesome parent, you 100% in your child life, but when it comes down to it, that child is constantly gonna be raised by somebody else. My kids are like that. If it's not the TV, if it's not some type of influence of a celebrity, it's by their friends, it's by other family members. They're influencing these kids to vicariously live through them or destroy them. Don't get it twisted. There's family members that love you, but they want to see your downfall because they didn't get to that point in life. I noticed a lot of these guys on YouTube are like this, and the women too. You know, a lot of these songs we listen to, you know, they promote one thing while they do another. Like, my biggest thing with the Beyonce thing, that to the left, she didn't to the left Jay Z. She kept to the right. You know, there's a lot of instances with dudes. I'm a player and I'm this and I'm a Mac. I mean, the craziest thing I heard was Pimp C was married. I'm like, Pimp out here talking this game, this rowdy this and Pimp married. Pimp C. My homeboy was a big Pimp C fan. When he found out Pimp C was married, it crushed his heart. He was like, oh. And I'm laughing. I'm like, he's a man. He's a man. He's not a god. He's just a man. I mean, he's married. Like, but it's just the whole thing of that's what it is. We have this constant fight. Especially as men. I understand, and it's not even taken away from women. Women have it hard. Women do struggle. Women, they don't get the bulk of everything, but to a degree, men we get kicked down a lot. I mean, if you look at compared to certain issues, a lot of women they get pushed back, they get, sheltered, they get put to the side. You know, a lot of women they get provision when it comes to certain things. You know, I mean, just in general, the balance of things is way more homeless shelter for women. Dr. Dunbar was going on big discussions. Hey man, I didn't talk about that topic. I don't know if I want to because it's nothing bad about it, but Dr. Dunbar, hey, it is what it is, man. But the crazy part is, like I said, there's a lot of homeless shelter for women. It's not much for men. A lot of times men got to figure it out. You know, yeah, yeah. I mean that's the biggest thing. I mean the prison complex for women is not fully there. Because a lot of times women get caught in the system depending on the environment. I mean, a lot of times they do studies on it to where your environment pretty much predicts, just like the prison complex that they were doing, the testing in school. When you take those tests from the third on up, probably even in kindergarten, depending on how much can you read or spell or anything, they got already determined whether you're going to be a criminal or not. They have these jails and set up. And the crazy part, like I say, far as fathers and the dudes that are good out here, they get the short end of the stick. Like I said, we focus so much on these bad guys that are not paying child support, that are tearing up the community. What about the good guys that are doing right? You know, where's the light on that? I mean, Father's Day is the best light. Even, to a degree, I could say this too, but a lot of guys that are, horrible fathers that don't pay child support and all this and that. I mean, can't this be one day where the kids reach out to that man, whether if they want to, if not, then just let it be. That's the thing that with my kids. My two older kids are my step kids, and I had to tell my son, I had to have a talk with him because every time his dad called when he was young, he never wanted to talk to him. And I was like, what's going on? Like, why you don't talk to your dad like that? And he's like, well, I really don't know him. Like, my mom wasn't with him I when I was kind of born. All I remember is her being by herself, and then you came along. I said, okay. But my daughter, she was around, and she's infatuated with her dad. She loved her dad. You know, even all the way down to graduation when her dad came to the graduation. And this is how crazy. I ain't want to like put a lot of personal business, but it's crazy how he came to his daughter graduation, but didn't come to his son graduation. And dude got one son and four girls. You know, and I don't know. I mean, Me as a man, I will put more press on my boys. You know, my daughters, I love my daughters, but the press on my boys because I already know the life struggle that they're gonna go through. You know, as girls, as daughters, as women, there always gonna be somebody there to help them. Always. If a woman is walking down the street, something going on, I mean, this day and age, I'm gonna say going to this day and age, it's gonna be hard to a degree for men to stop and see what's going on, but they will. If a woman look like she's beat up or something happened to her, 10 times out of 10, men are gonna stop, ask what's going on. What's going on, Lonzo? Shout out Lonzo. But 10 times out of 10, somebody will stop and ask and see if that woman is okay. Do she need assistance? Do she need this and that? If a guy's like that, they're gonna look, but they're gonna keep riding. You know, that's like the biggest. And that's like it's just crazy. What's going on? Black guns and garden, man. What's going on? Hey, I checked out your compost video, man. Thinking about going ahead and get me one of those barrels and put one in the yard. But shout out to everybody. But that's the thing. Like I said, a lot of women are gonna get help. And it's not like I'm trying to shine a light that women don't get it hard. But when it comes to the men, like like I said, especially the good men, we don't get the recognition, you know, to a point of like I said, that day when my wife didn't get me no Father's Day gift, it's just another day, you know. And it comes down to the point where you're supposed to do this, you know. You're supposed to be a good man. You're supposed to be a good father. I understand that, yeah. The same rule apply for women. Yeah, you're supposed to be a good wife. You're supposed to be this. When we flip it, it's been a lot of aha moments where me and my wife talk, you know, and I'd be like, well, you can do this, but I can't do this. Men can do this, women can't do that. And like I said, I don't like talking this gender talk because people will get in their feelings real easy about this. And you're not looking from a point of acceptance. You're looking from a point of rebuttal and kind of regards of want to have that moment of fighting, that hashing back and forth. I'm just stating the obvious. Just open mindedly, men do get kicked down more than women. You know, and that's the only thing that I'm focusing on. You know, women do get help, and not saying that all women will get the help that they need, but they will get some type of help. You know, the whole thing. I hear a lot of times within the manosphere space about young black boys, and I'm like, I can control my household, but outside of my household, it's got to be somebody that's willing to listen and understand for me to influence their child. You know, I had a cousin. I was down with this dude 100% when he was a young kid. Before I had kids, always in my life. When I started working real hard, I couldn't be there all the time. My aunt went and got a big brother. The big brother used to take him out. He was good. But when I go back to that earlier, when I said that the kids are raising kids, he got caught in that street life. He seen one of my brothers, move like that. He wanted to move like that. My brother told him, he's like, man, a lot of stuff come with this. He got locked up and he called and talked to him. He said a lot of stuff get caught in this type of stuff. That is true, Miss Stewart. But this is the thing. I've listened to your channel. I've heard how your granddad helped you out. You didn't have those immediate guys, but for the men that you did have, that showered you with gifts and did stuff for you. Not every man is gonna walk that path, and that's what I'm focusing on. There are a lot of men that just don't walk that path of socially dealing with the females or helping them out. But the men that do walk that path, I know you're gracious about the stories that I heard on your channel about certain, like especially your granddad. I've heard about your granddad. I haven't heard too many stories about other people. I mean, even with you know your ex and stuff like that to a degree, but the good that you got from those men that gave you that good, focusing on that. I mean, because having an understanding, like a lot of time, I influence most of the stuff dealing with my brothers. You know, there are certain instances that I need stuff from my family members. I don't get it, but the thing is, me as a man, I got to do it by myself. Even to a degree, and I'm married with my wife. I tell my wife the same thing. Like, if you don't do it, I got to do it. You know, and you being, the sole provider of your kids and stuff like that, it's not a whole thing of you taking on both roles. It's you just taking on that one role and having more work for yourself. Because I don't like that cliche thing of that the mom has to be the mother and the father. No, she just has to be, do more work as a woman. Because when men they take on the role of raising their kids, they don't be the mother and the father. They just have to be that dedicated father to show a little compassion in which they normally don't do. And when it come down to it, everybody needs help. But is everybody getting help? Is everybody working together? 9 times out of 10, it doesn't always work like that. That's why I'm saying dealing with all the good guys that do put their foot forward and, focus on family structure, that focus on, dealing with um yeah. I mean, that's what I'm basically speaking on too. That's why I deal with my kids accordingly the way I do. Like I said, far as my son, he always reach out to his mom, my oldest. He always reach out to his mom, do a lot of stuff for her when she don't like. Every once in a while he go to Sam's Club, he get her coconut water, just big old box of coconut water. Every now and then he comes back over to the area where we stay at. He'll call her. She works from home. He say, "What you doing?" None, just working. What you want to eat? Buy her food, stuff like that. I mean, that little care that he does for a mom goes a long way. That little care. But then you have other kids, like the uncles, my wife's brothers. They don't do that for their mom, you know. And it depends, more on the relationship. But to a degree, a lot of men just don't do that. A lot of them don't want to help. A lot of them don't want to. I try to teach my kids, hey, you got to be a good man regardless. I almost snapped on this lady yesterday and this dude the day before because of customer service. You know, I had to just bite my tongue. It was a situation happened with me the other day, and I'm trying to get some information, regarding the situation. And these people being very rude. And like I said, it's not even a woman or a man thing; it's a person thing. And that's an issue in life where some people, you know, they get into a point to where they're just so snappy and just so irritated about the least thing. Like I told my wife, you're in customer service. This is your job. Your job is to explain things to me right for me to have an understanding. If you don't like that, then don't do the job. You know, a lot of times I can snap on people on my job. I do deliveries. A lot of people just say some off the wall stuff. Just, sometimes I have to check them on things, but to a degree, you know, the patience of some people is just, hey, it's not there. Yeah, I mean, even with the village mentality, each one teach one, a lot of people are leaving that. You know, the older generation, they gave us values, but these younger kids, they don't want them no more. You know, because most of the time, the older generation get to shun the newer generation for their way of living, and they don't even want to, understand. Like, we had this conversation yesterday on Miss T channel, Miss T with the T, and she had an issue with an older person in the family versus the older person having an understanding and trying to talk. They're with this whole old way of living and thinking, and you know trying to force the old ways. Because I hear this a lot about relationships with women. I hear even with dudes. I could say that too, because most guys say they want a traditional woman and they want to be traditional, but then you sprinkle in the modern ways, you know, within the lifestyle. Same thing applies to the women. The women want the traditional man. The women want the traditional man, but then they want to move modernly. You know, they want him to pay the bills and do all this. I've always said this. You know, I understand the whole thing of a man paying the bills, protecting the provider, but then what is the woman doing with her money? That whole thing is the woman is the table. Then what does the table benefit? And a lot of women don't like that argument. Oh, you're trying to say this, you're trying to say just being truthful and balanced about the whole situation. We're both working with each other for, a goal and a principle in mind, And I've always talked about me marrying my wife, with the purpose of my kids, having an understanding that, a person I do love and want to be with for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have no intention on getting married, you know. And I've said this a lot of times. I dealt with my wife who had kids. For the simple fact is, I seen how much of a good mother she'll be with my kids. You know. Yeah, I mean the system it is crazy far as with these kids. They try to push so much onto them. It's like I don't know. It's almost like it get worse over time, and a lot of the kids they really have no pretty much no outlet to kind of deal with the system of the school with the bullying, then the stuff that they taught, the teachers teaching them. I mean, so many of these alternate lifestyles being taught in school up on our nose, we don't know because we're not in class, you know. Like the thing at the library I see a couple of years back, what was it, read to a queer day or something like that. I'm like, that you can control because you just don't take your kids to the library. But what if it's enforced in your class? Like they literally have these books in these schools. As a father, I try to combat some of that stuff, but you're not gonna be able to catch everything. You're not gonna be able to, deal with all this stuff. You know, even with the whole situation, it- it's a generational curse on a lot of families, far as the growth process, because you know you need to stay stagnant. You need to be in this type of environment. You need to do this type of things, and it gets kind of crazy because I really want to step over no lines, but I mean, saying the least, me being a father trying to protect my kids and guide them, these new generation, they don't want to listen. This whole YOLO stuff is starting to reinvent itself again. Well, my kids came up as I think it was Z's. Now the alphas are coming into this YOLO life to where, I don't need a standardized job. I can make all this money as an influencer. I can do this, I can do that. But then it brings destruction because you only see the outside, you don't see the end. What's it, Erica Campbell, the Mary, it's the God in me. And in that song, she's like, "What you don't know is when I go home." Like you seeing all this glitz and glamour on the outside, but you don't know the inside is all in pain and shambles, issues. And that's what a lot of times a lot of these men go through. Like I said, is being a father, you know, and you know, it's good that I'm in my house with my kids. I'm there, I can talk to them. A lot of men aren't, different circumstances, but a lot of men aren't. And for situations that be, a lot of dudes like it that child support stuff. And I've always told my wife, I'm a good guy. I'll take care of my kids regardless. I put myself on child support, you know, but just keeping my kids away from me is like, how many good dudes. One of my best friends, this dude literally um was paying his baby mama $1,500 a month. He didn't even have to pay $1,500. He worked a military contract. Technically, he was not even a citizen in America, and only thing that they could do is just run up the numbers on child support. And if he stayed in a different country, just stayed over there, he wouldn't have to pay it. Because if he denounced his citizenship, then what? But he was like, nah, that's my son. I'm gonna take care of my son. Paying her $1,500 a month. She knew when he was coming in town because he asked could he see the kid. So she set up a court date. He went down there and, kind of appealed. I mean, not appeal, but, kind of listened to their whole argument about it, which he didn't have to, you know, because at the end of the day, like I said, he didn't have to pay nothing. He was already gone out of the whole United States. But by him being a good father, he told her, if I give you $1,500 a month, you shouldn't want for anything. My son should be taken care of. And even with the laws about the child support, it gets kind of true. My thing is this: if you can't take care of my child, why should you have my child? I mean, because it's not even just taking the child from the mother, it's just the whole thing that we're both parenting. We both have to live. In most cases, like I said, getting back to this whole thing with the men and the women, for the women, the courts are gonna work with them. They're gonna make sure that these kids get taken care of. But it's in the best interest of the court to have this back and forth, so they can make y'all go through this situation that you're going through. You know, and like I said, as a father going through the court system, you get drained, you get tired. One of the guys, Jay Shine went through 6 court appearances with his baby mama and won all 6 of them. No lawyer. He got 2 times he did for legal counsel to make sure his argument was right. But it's like we go through this stuff so much. I mean, the back and forth, the back and forth, back and forth, man. It's overwhelming. But overall, I need to jump off here anyway too, cause I gotta get to work. But like I said, when at the end of the day, boiling down the whole dynamics with family and being a father, it gets kind of hard. Um, Situation where a lot of us need to work on, you know, just overall, having that appreciation because a lot of good guys can go south. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen guys that say, "Man, I've been treated like this. I'm finna be a player. I'm finna go out here and I'm finna be macking on these." They done had rolled the dice too many times and got the short end of the stick. So it's to the point with them, no more. Someone's like, Yep. Now it looks like I might have to do some daddy duties because I just got a notification. Yeah, I mean that's always the thing when it comes to that with the child support. It's the money is needed without a shadow of a doubt, but at the same time, focusing just on the money is not going to fix the situation, you know. And to a degree, a lot of guys, if they ain't got it, as long as they spending the time with the kids, Jason Reels Network, I was over there on his channel. He was talking about how his baby mama ended up putting him on child support because they got a divorce, messing around or whatever he was doing, or she, whoever. But I think he said it was mostly his fault. And the thing of it was, she just put him on child support. The kid's birthday was coming up, and she asked him for $175. He was like, "With me being what I am, man, I could have been like, I ain't give you nothing. Could you just file for child? Excuse me, just file for child support for me." But at the same time, he went on and said he gave her the money, and he told her, I'm just gonna do this. After that, she went down to the court, said she don't want to file no more, took them off, whatever, the whole thing, so they won't have to file. You know, he said if he'd have went the route that he wanted to do, he would have probably still been on child support to this day. But because he went on and gave her the money, spite her doing him like that, panned out better for him. But like I say the least, just shout out to everybody in the building. You know, hold on. Yeah, trying to get everybody to conduct themselves accordingly. Like I said, I don't have a wild channel, so everybody should be on their best behavior. But Miss T, shout out to you. Shout out to everybody that came through. You know, you know what I always say at the end of my videos? We here and we gone.